Welcome to the Akashic Library.
Let's be honest, we live in a world that is completely obsessed with speed. Faster is always better, right? But what if the real secret to a richer, more fulfilling life isn't about speeding up at all, but about slowing down? What if the path to actually living more is paved not with speed, but with pure intention? Well, let's explore this powerful philosophy of slow living.
I mean, just think about your day. You're hungry, right? So what do? You grab your phone, a few tabs here and there, and boom, a meal from pretty much any restaurant you can think of is at your door in minutes.
Or maybe you're bored. Feel like some entertainment? Well, at the latest blockbuster, that new series everyone's talking about, it's all right there, just waiting for you at the push of a button. It's really the poster child for our whole instant gratification culture.
And it doesn't stop there, does it? We communicate with anyone, anywhere, instantly. We travel further and see more than any generation in history. It really feels like we're just cramming more and more life into less and less time.
But here's the thing we really have to ask ourselves. Is a faster life truly a happier life? Does quantity always beat quality? You know, there's a growing movement pushing back on this, arguing that this relentless chase for speed is, well, it's a pretty hollow one.
Yeah, because all this speed, all this constant hurry, well, it comes with a price. And it's a surprisingly high one, in fact.
Think about it. When we're perpetually rushing, we might be doing more, but we're often experiencing way less. We just race through our meals, our conversations, and all these precious moments without ever really savoring them. We miss the little details, we get totally overstimulated by constant input, and we don't even process our own lives, which of course leads directly to stress, anxiety, and just complete burnout. We're so busy looking at the next thing that we completely ignore the very things that make life worth living right now.
So, what this all boils down to is a fundamental trade-off, a choice we're making every single day, whether we realize it or not. On one side, you've got quantity, collecting a long list of superficial experiences, rushing through them, and forgetting them almost as fast as they happened. And on the other side, there's quality, experiencing fewer things but doing it profoundly, savoring every little detail, and creating memories that actually stick around. So, which side do you really want to live on?
Okay, so this is where the antidote to our crazy, fast-paced world comes in, the philosophy of slow living. And listen, this isn't some new age trend that's going to be gone tomorrow. The wisdom of slowness has these deep, powerful roots in philosophy that go back thousands of years.
So what exactly is slow living? Well, at its heart, it's a counter-movement. It's about making an intentional choice to zero in on what actually matters to you. It's built on these amazing values like simplicity over complexity, finding a real sense of balance, being intentional with your time and your energy, and this is the big one, savoring the present moment instead of always rushing towards the next one.
Okay, let's kick things off with the ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus. He was a huge champion of the simple life, arguing that true lasting happiness comes from being content with what's essential, not from that endless, exhausting chase for fleeting pleasures. Okay, so Epicurus made this brilliant distinction, right? He talked about moving pleasures, those temporary hits we get from a great meal or a new show. But he argued that the superior pleasure, the real good stuff, is static pleasure. That's the long-term, stable feeling of contentment and tranquility. It's not about the thrill of the chase. It's about that deep, profound peace you feel when you don't even need to chase anymore. And that perfectly captures the heart of slow living, finding satisfaction that actually lasts. And this whole idea of finding deep happiness and simplicity, it didn't just stay in ancient Greece. It echoed centuries later, in the 19th century, with the American thinker Henry David Thoreau. He really believed that society's relentless, hurried pace was a huge barrier to living an authentic life. So he famously went off to live in a cabin in the woods just to prove his point.
Man, just let those words sink in for a second. To live deliberately. He wanted to strip away every single non-essential thing to get right down to what life was really about. His biggest fear wasn't dying. It was getting to the end and realizing, to his horror, that he had never truly lived at all. It is just a gut punch of an argument for simplifying our lives.
And hey, this idea of living in tune with a more natural rhythm isn't just a Western thing. Way back in ancient China, the sage Lao Tzu taught a very similar philosophy. It was all about living in accordance with the Tao, the effortless, natural flow of the universe.
Just think about that for a moment. A forest doesn't rush to grow. The seasons don't hurry to get here. Yet everything gets done in its own perfect time. Lao Tzu believed that when you force things, when you try to speed them up, all you get is friction and failure. He argued that true, lasting accomplishment is actually effortless and totally in sync with nature's unhurried pace.
So, while you have Lao Tzu finding wisdom in nature's pace, other philosophers were looking at the frantic pace of modern society and, well, they weren't impressed. Back in 19th century Europe, Arthur Schopenhauer argued that the constant hurry and bustle of life makes us miserable and actively blocks us from finding real happiness.
So, a lot like Epicurus, Schopenhauer saw two kinds of pleasure. First are the pleasures of the will, those quick, fleeting feelings we get from satisfying our basic, restless desires. But he believed the truly superior kind were the pleasures of the intellect. Contemplating art, getting lost in science, diving into philosophy. These are, by their very nature, slow pleasures that give you sustainable, lasting fulfillment without needing to chase after some external thing. All right, and for our last stop on this philosophical tour, let's turn to one of the most powerful men in history, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. Even this guy, with the weight of an entire empire on his shoulders, saw the incredible wisdom in doing less. And honestly, this might be the most powerful, practical piece of advice in this entire explainer. If you want peace of mind, tranquility, the answer isn't to manage more stuff, it's to do less, to focus only on what is essential. And as he so brilliantly puts it, this brings a double satisfaction. To do less, better. By ruthlessly cutting out the non-essential, you gain both your time and your peace. It's a win-win. Okay, so we've dug into the why, right? All this incredible philosophical wisdom. But now it's time to get practical. How do we actually take these ancient ideas and make them work in our super modern, super busy lives? All right, here are 4 things you can start doing, like today. First, simplify your schedule. This really just means getting comfortable with the power of saying no. Maybe it's turning down one social thing this week because you know you're drained. Second, unplug from technology. Our devices are literally engines of hurry. Try a digital sunset, just putting your phone away an hour before bed. Third, cultivate mindfulness. This doesn't have to be some hour-long meditation session. It can be as simple as drinking your morning coffee and only drinking your coffee. No scrolling, no multitasking. Just noticing the warmth and the taste. And finally, connect with nature. Even a 10-minute walk in a park, without headphones, can be enough to ground you and reset your internal clock to a more natural rhythm.
So if you take away just one thing from all this deep philosophical wisdom, it's a surprisingly simple 2-word command.
Let's bring it back to Marcus Aurelius for the final, most powerful insight. Look, this isn't just some nice quote. Think of it as a tool you can use all day long. It's the question to hold in your mind. Before you say yes to something, before you add another task to your to-do list, before you just reflexively pick up your phone, just pause and ask yourself, is this necessary?
Because he was right, Most of what we say and do, it's not essential. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. What is one non-essential thing you could eliminate from your life, starting right now, to reclaim just a little more time and a little more peace?
One powerful question can unlock what years of searching couldn't find. Next, understand why being pushed away opens doors and rejection is redirected.